Lowdown Mortgage Podcast, the show where we dive deep into the topics that directly impact the evolving originator. I'm your host, Connor Bartley. Bam! And joining me today is someone who brings a thoughtful, relationship-first approach to the mortgage business. She's built her reputation by showing up consistently, communicating clearly, and putting a lot of intention behind how she works with both clients and referral partners. She's someone who understands that long-term success in this business isn't about chasing the next transaction. It's about building trust, systems, and a process that people really want to come back to. Tori Doucette, welcome to the Lowdown.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure having you here. I'm really excited to dive into this. I know that you'll bring a ton of value to this conversation. And so I just want to dive in real quick to kind of, what is it? The sound of music where it says, let's start from the very beginning. It's a very good place to start.
Yeah.
Now, this is a business that typically people fall into. It finds them somehow. And I'm always curious to know, how did you get into mortgage?
Yeah, well, thank you for all those compliments. That was very nice of you. That was a great introduction. Appreciate it.
I'll send it to you afterward. You can put it on the website.
Perfect. Right. Exactly. Tell the world. So yeah, I mean, like you said, I definitely did kind of fall into it. I do have like a funny story. I've told it a couple times, but my coworker, before she was my coworker, Skylar Welch, she's a huge producer. She's a great friend of mine, and she had gotten started in the business before I did. And I used to do insurance back in the day. So I did property and casualty insurance, and she used to send me clients that needed homeowners insurance, and I would get right back to her. And she's like, oh, like, I really love your communication. You're right on top of it. Like, you get right back to me, helps me do my job better, faster, all those types of things. So she's like, you should really like think about this. And I was like, no way. Like, commissioned based job, absolutely not. Like, I am a mom of 3. Like, I am a 50-50 breadwinner in my household. Like, it was just a super scary thought to jump into something that was all on my shoulders, like everything. Like, my paycheck was just going to be, do I make it, do I not? So long story short, essentially, I chickened out the first time she tried to get me a job. I chickened out at the last minute. And about a year later, she was thriving, doing really, really well for herself, and approached me again. And I said, you know what? Like, YOLO. Like, I'm just going to try it. Like, see if I can make it. So I jumped in, both feet, really, really, really grinded for like the first 2 years. Did a lot of things a lot of people probably don't want to do on a daily basis. And I sure as hell don't want to do that anymore on a daily basis. But I think I knew that to gain that momentum, like, I had to really come in strong, be super, super consistent with the efforts that I was putting in. And then eventually being able to like build those real relationships and then build that trust, like you talked about, kind of building that along the way, giving great communication, like I was trying to do at my prior job, which is why I got kind of solicited to do this job, kind of keep that up, know how to build those relationships. And then again, once you do a great job for one person, they tell their coworker or they tell their friend or their family member, and really just kind of like spiraled from there. Is just to do that consistently over time was really how I started. Like, that's how I built it.
Yeah. So you made first of all, congratulations on being brave, right? Like, you made a bold choice going from what sounds like a salaried position where, you're doing just fine. And then like, we're going to cut the family income in half. We're just going to drop mine out and take a huge risk, honey.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
So I applaud you for that. But then you paid your dues, right? You went through that grind at the very beginning. And I think that's a point that gets missed a lot, in that, like, to achieve success in this business, there really is like that period of a massive dip, right? Despite whatever your talents may be, like, you've got to go through a pretty lonely valley to get through to the other side. And it sounded like you had a strong mentor, someone who set a high standard, and exposed you to kind of like what's the work ethic that it takes to be, on top of your game. And I think that's a huge advantage that not everybody has an opportunity to have. So for anyone who's listening, this is why I bring it up. Find someone who's doing really well at mortgage and find a way to work with them.
Yeah.
It's the best
You
advice
don't
I
need
can
to
give you.
reinvent the wheel. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you go through that kind of first couple of years of struggle, and like when did you feel like you had settled in to being a loan officer and that like you realized, hey, you know what, I'm pretty good at this job. Like was there like a moment of that?
I feel like there was probably a year that I kind of realized, like, wow, like I am making a really good living. Like you said in the beginning, it was a lot of struggle, and to like repeatedly be rejected or ghosted almost. I mean, set up lunches, people would cancel on you, and then to kind of like get the courage to like do that all over again, emailing people, people don't reply. A lot of that stuff. I mean, it can be really hard, and I think that if you're getting into the business, you have to realize that there's going to be a long period of time, in my opinion, a good period of time where you're not super successful. I was really grateful that I just dug in with Skylar at the time. And she was kind of doing a lot more than she had previously been doing. And we were kind of growing together and learning together. And again, not reinventing the wheel. If she was taking people to lunch, I'm taking people to lunch. If she's emailing clients, I'm emailing clients. Like that, I literally just followed in her footsteps to try to set that foundation of what's a good loan officer, what are these agents looking for in a partner, because for me it was good communication, education, not only for them but for their clients as well, and feeling like I'm very transparent about the process, and I will communicate good, bad, or indifferent, that they have updates throughout the process of where they're going, how I got to there. But then when I realized like I had basically, like, I don't want to say made it, because I think this business is forever evolving. I mean, you're as good as your last lunch in certain situations. Sometimes you build great, loyal, meaningful relationships, and those ones you can really like bet your paycheck on, kind of. But there's other ones where the relationships aren't as deep and they're a little bit more superficial, and you just kind of work hard to maintain those and hopefully get to like a deeper level where you have a more meaningful, loyal relationship. But they're not all like that. So I feel like for me, probably 3 years into the business is when I realized like I was getting consistent referrals, mostly from realtors. I mean, you can get referrals from financial advisors, you can get I mean, not just realtors, but you can get, attorneys, you can get lots of different people that can send you business. I was in a couple networking groups consistently for several years, three different ones at one point, where I was going to three different meetings a week just to like get my name out there. And I feel like once I had built that base, it was enough steady business. And then from there, 3 years in, at 3 years, I mean, the people you did initially 3 years ago, maybe looking for a new home, maybe looking to refinance. And it really from there, because I had like cast my net so wide and like tried to meet so many different people, that's when the business started really kind of picking up, was when not only did I have realtors that were referring me, but I also had past clients that were referring me, past clients that needed me again. So that's really when I thought, wow, like this is
Yeah.
this is a great business. Like this could be.
Well, and so, like, but what you're describing though, that doesn't happen by accident, right? Like, there's an intention there because I talk to a lot of originators that really struggle with the past client. Like this job is designed to kind of stack on top of itself over time. Like it should compound, right? Where
Yes.
you've built trust with people that you did a transaction with. The average homeowner, keeps a mortgage or lives in the same house for what, 5 to 7 years. And
Yeah.
so either they're going to refinance that mortgage, they're going to move up, they're going to do something within
Right.
that period of time. And then they've got friends and family that are going to be looking to buy a home or need a mortgage person, right? And so, like, but not everybody farms their database, and a lot of people stay out on the hunt. So, like, for you, how has that, like, how have you been intentional about like keeping in touch of your past client?
Yeah. So for me, that was like the most untapped gold mine that there was. I'm growing in that field because again, I think you always want to try to keep your realtors happy. So I feel like that's like my priority is to like make sure that I'm staying in touch with them and building that relationship and kind of keeping that going. But at the same time, building myself a system, because I think that that's more important, is to build a system that you can keep in touch with your past client base, because you want to stay top of mind with them, because I promise you there are 50 mega banks out there with the most sophisticated AI software that are headhunting every single one of your past clients. And that's where I feel like it's so important for that personal relationship to be able to kind of like supersede all those offers they're getting in the mail, all the emails they're receiving out of the blue. Because if they don't bring that back to me, I've lost that client potentially forever. So I feel like it's so important to have them get an offer in the mail, and the first thing they think of is, I need to call Tori and see if this is legit. I need to call Tori and see if there's something that she can do to help me. I think that's where a huge amount of my business came from in this past year, where I didn't necessarily, not that I don't want to, I love my realtor relationships, but I didn't need to rely on them so heavily. I think I've gotten myself to a point in my career where I really do want to foster those relationships with my people, the people that I've gotten opportunities with over the last couple of years. That's really what I want to do. I feel like that's how I'm going to succeed moving forward. Just with the changing of the industry and, you know, a lot of AI software and things like that are going to be coming out, I think it's so important to keep that client base. I mean, I've done a lot with social media as well in the last couple of years, where just try to be forward facing. You know, people know what I look like, they know what I sound like, they know how I talk. Try to maybe focus more on education, that sort of thing when I am posting online. You know, some of it's entertaining or whatever, but I feel like from a standpoint, from like a business standpoint, I want people to see me as more of an educational mortgage expert than anything else.
Yeah. And that's a simple but not easy thing to pull off, right? Like this, it's basically be everywhere is the concept, right?
Yeah.
So,
I don't love video either. I actually hate recording myself on video. It's so embarrassing, but I was like, you know
oh,
what?
it's tough.
You got
I
to do
get
it.
it. I get it. Well, so how has prospecting evolved for you? Because it sounds like at some point you kind of reached a place where you had kind of a reliable stable of referral partners. And then now it's sort of, are you at a place now where you can be selective, or like how has the prospecting approach changed for you?
I would
Or
still, I
has it?
mean,
It might still be the
yeah,
same.
I mean, I feel like, again, I do not try to reinvent the wheel. I do think if I'm just making recommendations to other loan officers, I do think consistency is key. I think it's really hard to be consistent in this business because we go through these ebbs and flows of busyness. You know, when the spring market hits, it's really hard to take realtors to lunch, even though I have the best of intentions to meet with all my people and continue to build those relationships. It can get hard when you're stuck behind your desk running scenarios, running pre-quals, and making sure you're still providing that excellent level of customer service that the client is expecting, but also the agent is expecting that as well, because that's what they've received. So I don't have as much time to go to my closings anymore. Like I love that. I really want to create some systems this year that I can get back to going to closings, because I felt like that was such a monumental moment for my clients and I hated not being there for it. But I also knew I have an 8 hour work day. Well, we all know loan officers work a heck of a lot more than 8 hours a day. You know, we're available for sun up to sundown. But I mean, again, physically in the office, how many closings could I possibly go to when they're, you know, 20 minutes away or even 5 minutes away? And the closing is still taking, you know, 45 minutes to an hour or something along those lines. I wouldn't say my philosophy is any different with prospecting, except for focusing more on my past clients now and make sure I'm nurturing those relationships. I love a good realtor lunch. I love getting to know new people, because I do think that there's agents out there that are doing their businesses differently as well. And I want to learn what's going on their side of things, because then it can help me prepare better. Like, how do I better serve you? How do I better help you get clients? Because it's a give and take business. I mean, I feel like we want to support them. We want to educate them on things that are happening on our side, but we also rely on them to kind of let us know all those recent changes with art, and kind of going through that whole process with them and learning how they have to go about getting business now. And those changes for me, I think if I hadn't maintained the realtor lunches, if I hadn't maintained that, I wouldn't be educated. I wouldn't know half the stuff that I know now about what their struggles are and what they're going through. And how do we help kind of like facilitate those conversations to make their job easier? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So just to transition kind of to the other side of the business a little bit, you know, you're at a place now where you're helping, I don't know, 100 or more people a year, right? Like that's
Yeah.
pretty phenomenal, first of all. Like, congratulations. And
Thank
that's a
you.
huge impact on your community. I would imagine along the way, there's some stories that just still stick with you. Is there like a borrower or a loan that you still remember today that's just like a constant reminder of this is why?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And it's always the hardest loans. It's the loan you cannot wait for it to close. And you're like, oh my God, like it was awful. It was awful. But then again, the client was so amazing, or the client was so appreciative. I have this one lady. I love the story because I think she's like the kindest, sweetest lady. We're still like friends on Facebook. She always comments under my stuff. It's awesome. I love that feeling. She had a really challenging loan with some like she received income from a trust, but the executor of the trust refused to provide us any documentation, any information. They were super hard on her about what they would give, what they wouldn't give. And it was becoming a major issue with getting her loan approved. And we fought tooth and nail. We had called Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, HUD. We had gone to some serious lengths to get this woman some really like some needed help. She was living in a trailer park at the time. She had found the most perfect property with lots of acreage for her dogs, and it was just the perfect home for her. And she really needed, her son had passed away, and she really kind of just needed a reset. She really wanted to have her own space. She was elderly. She was, kind of like working herself towards retirement. And it was a pivotal life moment for her that I would not have been able to sleep if we could not get this loan closed. And finally, after many, many phone calls, it closed. And she was so grateful and so appreciative. And that's when we always say it. I'm sure there's a million other loan officers that are like, those are the ones that make it all worth it, because this job is really hard. People see us and they think like, oh, you just wine and dine realtors all day long. I wish it was that easy. It is extremely, extremely stressful. We carry the burden of getting all of those loans closed. And like, I'm like emotionally attached to these people. So I can't fathom them not getting into these homes and having it have anything to do with me personally. No mistake, no underwriter coming in and trumping what I'm doing or trying to do. It just becomes a personal thing for me. And I think that that's why, I mean, not just me, that this is everybody in my office. Like, we will go to like tooth and nail on a deal to make sure it gets closed. I mean, I think in 10 years, I'm not even joking you when I say I think I've had one loan actually denied in 10 years, because we will literally fight tooth and nail to make sure that that loan is approved. I will find a guideline. I will find a workaround. I will find something to compliantly get the loan done. But it means a lot to me. I mean, I really do. I feel the burden of I feel the sorry, I should say I feel the magnitude of what it is that we do. And it's a huge life-changing milestone for most people. And we want to be there on the good side only. Yeah. We only want to be delivering the good news.
Love that. And you mentioned earlier that you lean a lot into education. What are some of the things that you find that most, whether it's a first-time home buyer or just someone who's trying to buy a home in general, like what are the things that they really need to be educated on?
I really wish that there was a high school course on credit, because I still on a daily basis have credit conversations where people don't realize like the utilization of their credit. It's not just about paying your bills on time. You've got people that have never missed a payment on a bill, but they have 7 credit cards that are completely maxed out, but they're making the minimum monthly payment and they don't know why their credit score is a 660. I can tell them in a 30-second conversation what they need to do to get their credit score up above that, but also not realizing, I don't think people, a lot of like the general public doesn't understand what we look at. I could care less if you have balances totaling $100,000. I care about what the monthly payments are associated with each one and how that impacts like a debt to income ratio. I don't think a lot of people understand that. I actually don't even think a lot of loan officers understand how we can structure and restructure debt to be able to make something work, but also to counsel people. We have people, I deal with this all the time, where maybe they want to put down 10%, or that's what they think they want to do. They want to put down 10%. Let's just say that's $50,000. Well, I say, why not put down 5%? Instead, put down $25,000, which is still going to give you a good interest rate. You'll pay a little bit of PMI, but with that other $25,000, knock out these 6 credit cards that you have high utilization on. Not only is your credit score going to go up, but we're knocking out $600-700 of monthly payments. That 25 grand is not going to equate that on your mortgage payment. So we're actually looking at the overall financial picture and strategizing with the client to give them a better overall financing profile, that they look stronger, and then they're more comfortable with their payment. I mean, that's just the overall goal, is to have those bigger conversations so people are educated and they feel good about going into their home and they're not house poor. They're not completely overwhelmed by their payment.
Yeah. Well, So let's talk about the future now, okay? As you kind of look ahead, what are you thinking, or what are you keeping an eye on that's going to be important for a loan officer to remain successful 3, 5 years from now? Like, what are some of the skill sets that a loan officer needs to start growing today?
I genuinely, wholeheartedly think that every loan officer needs to take some AI education courses. I think that is an inevitable part of our future. It's already happening. It truly already is. There's a lot of platforms that are going towards at least incorporating AI software in for fact checking information, reviewing documentation, for client conversation and management, CRMs, all those types of things are going AI. And I think if you don't adapt and learn that, you're going to be way behind the eight ball. I do still think that the human touch is needed in the mortgage process. I think that people truly do seek, another person validating what they're doing and having that personal connection without in the loan process. I don't think it's ever going to go away, but I do think there are going to be major changes with it, which I do think will help loan officers if they know how to do it correctly. I think it's going to help loan officers scale and be able to do a lot more, because there are a lot of things that take a lot of our time that I think could be streamlined with AI. So that would be my biggest recommendation, is to just really focus in on getting some training in AI and figuring out what programs are out there already and what they can do to help kind of elevate your business.
Yeah. And outside of AI, are there any other tools that you're using that are maybe client facing, or things that are kind of helping you have those conversations with your clients or your realtors?
Yeah, I'm terrible at doing any of that sort of stuff. I will be fully honest with you. I mean, we have a CRM system, we have these types of things. I'm so old school and still like to pick up the phone and have a conversation. And maybe the AI will get a lot better, but like I feel like I can read it and be like, AI, I already know it's AI. So I want to be way more organic, way more authentic with my communications with the client. I think updates and things like that are totally fine to come from, a computer generated software. But I think that when I'm dealing with the client, I'm very still hands on. So I personally don't use anything. Like we don't have any lead gen software. We don't do anything like that. We're very organic with, still building our business the old way, which again, I don't think that's going to be like that forever. So I also need to adapt and learn those types of things. So I wish I had some pointers on that, but I'm terrible at it.
I mean, to your point though, like I still think the most effective tool is your phone, right? Like, I mean, being able to just pick up the phone, have a conversation. My brother and I have talked about this, where it's like, and I feel that we're hurtling towards this moment really fast right now because of how quickly people are experimenting with AI. But I feel like we're
Yes.
going to get to a point where people are just going to be totally sick of it and say, I want to talk to a real person. Let me talk to that actual person so I know I'm talking to them. So I think there are the right uses for it, and that can create efficiencies and things like that. And but at the same time, you definitely don't want to replace yourself with it, because I don't think a lot of people really want that. They want that human touch. They want that personalization, that
Yes.
human to human conversation. So anyway.
I think the relationship is so important in this business for sure.
And so as we wrap up here, Tori, like, is there a question I didn't ask you that you wish I had, or some advice that you'd want to share, just sort of as a parting comment to anyone who's listening here today?
I mean, not necessarily. I just feel like, as far as if you're a loan officer or whatever, I feel like keeping your relationships, I think, is really important. But I also feel like building a team, or building at least a set of processes that you can follow, a system that you can duplicate on every single transaction. I think that consistency is really nice from client to client. Obviously, everybody needs a little bit of hand holding, and each file is going to be slightly different. But I do think that from like a production standpoint, I think it starts with the relationship, but also building a solid foundation of people that are going to be involved with the client. So myself personally, I'm forward facing with the client, but then I have a team behind me that's kind of pulling in the file, pulling in credit, taking a preliminary look at the pre-approval, maybe making some notes for me. And then I'm calling the client, I'm going over it with them. So that way, if I have anything additional that I maybe see throughout their file that maybe needs to be addressed, I'm the one having that conversation with them. And then our file, once it's under contract, goes to our in-house processor, who's going to kind of prepare the file for underwriting. It just makes the file very cohesive and it feels smooth. And it also creates a lot of efficiencies, because we can duplicate it on every single transaction. It's always going to be the same. They know exactly who they're going to deal with, but they know that they can always still contact me. I think strong, it's just it's a good thing in general to have, is to have a strong foundation, a strong team. And that's kind of, I don't always look at like myself and my numbers, and it's, that's great. It's like, to toot your own horn about your production. That's great. I think that can be really discouraging. Like I also want to just say, for loan officers that are growing, don't compare yourself to others. Their goals, their aspirations can be really like, it's almost like a little defeating when you look online and you see, people out there doing 50, $60 million in business. Just because you're a 10 to $12 million producer does not mean you're any less than. You're probably have a way better work-life balance than them. And there are so many things that you can accomplish with that. You're still helping families. I just think, don't always look at social media and think like that person is so much better than you. Because I think it can be really discouraging to kind of see that stuff on a regular basis. And if you need to unfollow it, do things that are going to make you feel good. And again, just be consistent, like keep up with the grind and making sure that, you're being true to yourself and that your relationships are authentic. And I think you'll be really successful.
Awesome. Well, Tori, thank you so much for being on the Lowdown. It's great talking with you, and really appreciate all that you shared with us today. It was really great to hear your story.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I appreciate it.
You bet. Best of luck to you in the future. We'll keep an eye on you.
Sounds good, sir. Thank you.